Welcome to Fierce Fit Feminine and Other F Words, a place where women in business come to learn more about health, beauty, body language, and communication. I'm Christine Brunelli, chiropractor and former beauty salon owner turned certified image consultant, helping you glow from the inside out. And today we're talking about how to navigate cancel culture as a woman in business. Whether you have a position of leadership or you are a business owner, you're a creator or an influencer online, how does this look? How do we resonate with our audience and at the same time embody our own values without being canceled or without ruffling feathers? What does that look like? What's important to know? How do we do it? I have been really interested in this because it's been a thing since about 2020 to watch businesses really get hurt for taking a stand. So let's dive in. There's a saying, show me the receipts in your wallet from the last 30 days and I will show you where your heart is. And what that means is where we spend our money and how we spend our money is what we value, what's important to us. And really how we spend our money is a form of a vote in some way. I vote for this company. I like this company. I support this company because they have something I want. I like getting behind them. I believe in them. All of that. It is a form of a vote, right? If you take dollars away from a company, then you are saying you're out. I don't support you anymore. And at the time of this recording today, it's June 2023, and if this ever gets looked back on, this is kind of going to be like a time capsule. There are some major votes going on in the world, specifically in the United States, with dollars. And it is because the consumer doesn't support the stand that the company is taking. And this is on a giant level, but we can extrapolate what's happening onto a personal, smaller level with us and our businesses and our role in whatever we are doing in the world when we have any type of impact or leadership. And the two I want to highlight today, just on a big scale, before we, a bird's eye view, before we take this smaller and talk about you, is it's Target and Bud Light. And we've heard so much about it, but it's enormous. It really is enormous. At the time of this recording, Target is down over $12 billion in revenue because they took a stand for inclusivity and Pride Month. And there is some speculation of them being in decline before this, but it's definitely had an impact. There was a definite backlash toward the company. And the company took the products that were front and center when you walked in the store, moved them to the back. But the fallout from this whole thing has devalued the company $12 billion up until now, a little over. Anheuser-Busch, who owns Bud Light, had a trans person on the front of a beer can. They are down $27 billion in value right now. I can't even fathom that much money. These stands that the companies take are definitely making an impact. And the impact for right now, the positive definitely did not outweigh the negative. And Bud Light has come back since then, and they've tried to recover from it. They tried putting someone in military, saying we honor our military and all of this stuff. And boy, consumers were not buying it. They were not buying it, to the point that the person that was overseeing the marketing to put the trans person on the front of that beer can lost their job. The whole organization is getting a reshuffle. And it really made me think, how much do I want to share my personal beliefs about what I support online? Because when you're small and you're not traded publicly on a stock exchange and you don't have investors and you don't have all of these other things at play, you don't have the buoyancy to survive being canceled, right? But there are people out there that will say, be as polarizing as you can as a creator, as a small business owner, because you will repel the people that don't want to support you and attract the people that do. They align with your values. So that brings me to, how do we navigate this? How do we do it? And I started looking and brought it down. I started saying, okay, these are the giant, enormous companies, they're traded on the stock exchange, like Target and Anheuser-Busch. Now let's take it down to people who are gazillionaires, if that's a word, who, are not traded on the stock exchange, but they are in the 8 and 9 and 10 figure club. They're making $1 billion as a human without being traded publicly. They're making a lot of money. They have multiple companies, and maybe in the $1 million figure club, maybe in the millions, maybe they make 5 million. I don't know. Maybe their company generates 10 million, but they don't make 10 million. You get the gist of what I'm saying. Or maybe they have a position of leadership, like in a TV show or a podcast or a news show, and they make a lot of money. There are so many different ways of looking at it. And I see that the majority of these people on a smaller scale are not sharing anything political or polarizing. The majority. There are some that have very big podcasts, very popular YouTube shows that do, but the gist of their show is the topic that they're talking about. So they're not out there, selling a widget and talking about some polarizing project. They actually have a show that talks about the polarizing project or the polarizing topic. So it's a little bit different. So that's not apples to apples. So someone like Joe Rogan, for example, has an enormous show, right? He's on podcast, YouTube, all of that. But his show in itself is about polarizing topics. So I want to throw him out. We're not talking about him. But when we talk about someone else who has a product that they're selling or a service that they're selling, like a Tony Robbins, for example, and I use him because he's well known. Everybody knows what he does. He's into the personal development space, but you don't hear him going on social media or going on YouTube or anything and talking about a political rant or talking about his personal values, like how he really, really feels. He just stays away from it. Now, you will hear him say, the government's not coming to save you, but that's more generic. He's not coming out saying, Target's right or Target's wrong, or he's not getting on those bandwagons. And the man has, I don't even know how many companies he owns. He owns an island with a resort, for goodness sake. He owns so many things. I think he's to the point where he still works, but he probably doesn't have to, right? So what does it look like for us if we're on the smaller scale? Right? What do we do? How do we decide to bring our values into our brand and not be canceled? What does that look like? And I'm even thinking as I'm speaking, how do I share my opinion without making you feel repelled? I want you to be able to hear what I'm saying from a place of business. I'm guessing that if you're listening to this, you're self-employed or you own a business or you have a position of leadership and you're curious, like, what does this look like for me? How do I navigate these muddy waters and not have my business hurt by it? So we're going to start with this. The first thing I want to talk about is getting on a platform or taking a stand for something and being polarizing. So if you are a small business owner or you're a small creator, and when I say small, you're under the $1 million mark, you have probably heard people say something polarizing on social media. It will grow your following. So that's true. I did this on TikTok a couple years ago, and it was when we were kind of just starting to ease out of the pandemic. We were still in the pandemic, but we were not in full lockdown anymore. And I know that women specifically, because that's who I talk to, were not taking great care of their appearance anymore. They kind of lost the need, right? We weren't going anywhere. We were home all day. We were in, comfortable clothes all day, didn't do our hair or makeup because why? We never left our house. So I went on TikTok and I had been working with clients and working in my business and on my business. So I was doing hair and makeup because I was going on camera. And I did a TikTok that is still in my account. I think if you can find me there, you might see it. I think it's pinned, but I can't. No, it's not pinned anymore. It was one of my biggest TikToks. It was at the time viral for me, right? Viral for me, meaning it wasn't like 1 million views, but it had thousands and thousands and thousands of views and hundreds of comments. And what I did was I went on and I said, okay, ladies, it's time for you to start taking care of your appearance. It's time for you to get cute. I'm not talking about, and I went on what I meant by cute. I meant, you're going to do your hair. You're going to spend some time like cleaning up. You're going to do your nails, and you're not going to wear Crocs or slippers anymore. You're going to put on some shoes. You're going to look cute, not your PJs all day. Oh my gosh, that TikTok got so much flack from people that were like, girl, who are you? And you don't look that cute. Like they came out, right? The hate came out and all of it. But there were other people that came on board and they've still followed me since then because they were like, oh my gosh, I so needed to hear this. And I just need to get my butt in gear and get back in the world again. I need to start feeling like me again. So it attracted the people that were in an alignment with my values, right? And it repelled the people that they could care less about their appearance. They even attacked the shirt I was wearing and said I was ugly. I mean, the hate came flying. But I am at a point where I have a thick skin when I'm online. I am like, thank you for that comment because the algorithm thinks that you like my content because you engaged with it. So it's going to show it to more people, right? So that's how it works. Whether it's hate comments or love comments, the algorithm sees the activity and the engagement in your post and it pushes it out. So I find that polarizing content in that way, when it is about something that you do for work, can be helpful. Staying in your lane is what I'm saying. I didn't go on my platform and talk about how I felt about the Target thing or the Bud Light thing. I don't do that for a living. I am not in that world. I am not, on some committee to push Pride for 30 days every year. I'm not in that world. And I think that might be a defining factor for a lot of cancel culture that we're seeing. People are getting disgruntled, seeing someone take a stand for something that is not in their lane. For example, Nike, way back during the Black Lives Matter riots, hired Colin Kaepernick, who was the San Francisco 49er guy who would not stand for the flag, right? He was not for the American flag. It was a very big controversy. And Nike brought him on and said, we support Black lives. And he became like a face for the Black Lives Matter season that we were in through Nike. But consumers didn't like it as a whole. And the reason they didn't like it is because they said, Nike, why are you getting on this bandwagon? And why are you exploiting this guy? Because that's how it feels to a consumer. Now, a small amount of people will say, yeah, Nike, I love you for doing that. But a lot of other consumers would look at it as, that's just a move to build their brand. This doesn't feel authentic. Do you see the difference of what I'm talking about here? Is Nike out there talking about, people of color most of the year? No, they're out there talking about running shoes. This is not their thing. So a lot of people are getting frustrated with companies that are taking stands for things and using it, exploiting the topic to build their brand, and consumers see through it. But what if you do have something you hold dear? What if you really do have something that you're passionate about? Maybe it is people of color. Maybe it is pride. Maybe it is politics, whatever. How do you do that? How do you stay in your lane and roll those topics into your brand? That's something I'm still unpacking, but I've been reading, I've been learning, and I've been observing what's happening. What I'm finding is it's all connected to your company's core values. So what are they? Or your core values? If you are your company, if you're a solopreneur, if you're a single practitioner, what are the core values of your business? When those are established, you can roll your values into your messaging. And some won't like it, but a lot of them will. You'll attract who aligns with you and you'll repel who doesn't. How far you take it is a test, and isn't everything in business a test anyway? Everything's a test. You put an offer out there in the world. If people buy it, it passes the test. If they don't buy it, you have to go back to the drawing board and figure out why. So how do you test it? You throw it out there in your marketing, but it has to be in your core values. If your core values of your business, whether you are solo or a hired employee or whatever you're doing, don't reflect activism, for example, or don't reflect politics, or don't reflect anything polarizing, then there's going to be a disconnect in your messaging and your storytelling and your marketing to the consumer and the people that you're trying to reach. So you need to have them rolled up into your core brand values. And do you know what those are? So that's where we start. So all of this stuff about cancel culture really has to go back to your core values of your business. Do you know what they are? Do you have a set of core values? Because then what you do is you look at it and say, is my messaging in alignment with my core values? If it's not in alignment, I don't say it. If it's not in alignment, we don't speak about it. We just don't talk about it. In my business, your personal life is different, right? This is different. We're not talking about your personal life, but your core values for your business should probably be in alignment with your personal life, because haven't we seen in the world where a brand says one thing and then we find the people behind the brand say another? Consumers figure it out. So this all falls down to core values being in alignment with who you are as a person, what you believe in, what you stand for. But again, does it have to be in your business? Can you have a business that's helping someone in a lane of whatever you do? I don't care if you're a doctor, a dentist, a lawyer, a life coach, a health coach, whatever you do, that has nothing to do with your activism. It has nothing to do with your politics. Do you really want to blend the two? If you do, you need to know your brand's core values, your business core values. So let's figure out how you do that. Hey, if you're listening to this before June 14th, 2023, that's a Wednesday, I have a live workshop coming up for women over 40 who want to learn how to use makeup to look more refreshed and radiant. Because let's face it, after that, our face feels like it's sagging and falling down, and makeup doesn't always look so great anymore. Well, I have the answer for you. It's a live done with you workshop where we do it side by side. It's not like you watch a YouTube video. I'm there literally answering your questions live, and you can register right now by tapping the link right here in the show notes, and there are replays available. If you attend live, it's 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, that's California time, which translates into 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is New York. If you can't be there, I'll send you a replay, but I would love to have you come live so that I can help you look more refreshed and radiant. Tap the link in the show notes, and I'll see you there. Your business's core values need to be in alignment with your personal core values. That is out of the gate the first thing you need to know. Don't go and create a business that says, I am all about diversity and inclusion, and we are all about all of these things that are out in the world, right? But in your real life, you don't live it. People see through that. You might get success in the initial part of your launch or whatever you're doing, but eventually people will see through it. It has to be true to you. And why would you want to create a business that's not in alignment with your values anyway? How frustrating is that to live a fake life? That's really what it would be, as a double standard. So what you really want to do is think about what's important to you. And you can do a search to get some ideas about how to define your core values, but I'm going to throw some words out there just to get you thinking, what might be core values for me? And just is in business. Let's start there. Let's start in business. Do you want your core values for your work environment to be collaborative? Do you want to have them be integritous? Do you want to see innovation? Do you want to see growth? Do you want to see personal growth? So the people that you work around are into personal development and personal growth. Do you want to be a service company, someone who is known for that? Like, you will go above and beyond for service. So let me give you an idea of a company that uses service. I talk about them all the time because they do such a great job with it. It's Les Schwab in the US. They're a tire company. So they will fix your tire, your flat tire, for free, whether you bought it with them or not. They will go over the top to serve you. If you have a low tire, if you have a car that tells you one of your tires is air pressure is going low, they will check for free all of the tires all the way around on your car and put air in the one that's low and say, come back if it comes low and we'll fix it free if it goes flat on you. That's a service-based company, right? That is a brand value who created Les Schwab, that's a core value for them. That happens to be one of my values as well. I want to serve because I truly believe when people feel served, they will stay with you. Here's the interesting thing. Forbes did a study and wanted to find out why people leave a brand. It's not because they advertise too much. It's actually not even because of some of the stands they take polarizing. It's because of service. Poor service. And is that true for you? I'll bet it is. Service is a big one. So that's an example of like a business core value, right? Service, growth, innovation, integrity, collaboration, positivity. Those things can be core values in a business, but let's throw out some other words that might resonate with you. And again, they need to be your core values that you want to wrap and put them inside into your business. Things like acceptance, adaptability, adventure, bravery, boldness, communication, or community might be one of your brands. Maybe you do something where you build community, determination, diversity. I'm going alphabetically. Can you tell? Because I found on Indeed.com a list of words that you can read by yourself. But I want you to just be thinking, what's important to me? And I like to give credit where credit is due, and that is on Indeed.com. So you get the gist of where I'm going with this. If you choose that diversity and inclusion are part of your brand core values and your personal core values, roll them into your business and let it be part of your business somehow in your messaging. Make sure that it aligns with you personally. And then you can subtly come out. You can do it subtly without saying words. You can throw a rainbow flag in your social media posts, and that shows that you are in it without taking a stand verbally. It shows that you are supporting it. Just like when the Black Lives Matter riots were happening, a lot of social media went black. Do you remember that? Everybody was putting just a plain black square on their social media and they went silent. It was after the George Floyd death. So people that have no inclusivity in their brand whatsoever, they don't talk about it, they still participated in that. And you can do it with simple things like that without having it to putting it in your written message. It can even be in your visual messaging. So if you don't have your core values established, today is the day, my girl. Today you need to sit down and figure out, what are my core values? I really don't know. Do a Google search if you have to get yourself really feeling creative. Get alone, get away from people, get away from the noise, and just figure out what is important to you. What do you value? I value integrity. I value connection. I value people feeling like they're seen, but this rolls into service. I truly value helping a woman feel seen because I can't stand when women feel invisible and they're trying to be visible, but I want to notice everybody, right? It doesn't mean I'm going to pour my life into every single person, but you know how important it is, how it makes someone feel you included when you're noticed? Just walk into a restaurant. If they're busy and nobody is there to seat you, if somebody acknowledges you and says, "I'll be right there," done. That's all you need, right? But when you're trying to do something in a store and you have a question and you need your laptop fixed and you're inside a computer store and people are walking around and you feel like you're standing there going, "Am I invisible?" So, that's a big value of mine. I want my people to feel seen. That's a big value. And that would go with whoever works for me. I would want them to share that value. That's just an example. What is something that you're very passionate about? That should be one of your values. I'm also passionate about positivity. And so we're always going to take something and we're going to try to look at it through a positive lens. Like, what is the good that we can take from this? And even feedback that feels negative can actually be positive, because when people give you negative feedback, they're telling you, a lot of times, there's a very small few where this doesn't ring true, but they're telling you, hey, this is how it feels to a consumer. So if you remove your personal attachment, like as it being a personal attach, and you go, wow, that's really good feedback, then you can take that to improve your business so that you do better next time. So I always see a positive spin. So positivity is definitely one of my core values. There are so many ways to determine core values, but you need probably about 5. You can also not make them one word. You can make them a sentence. You can make them just real for you and then roll them into your business brand. And then you start deciding, how do I want this to show up in my messaging? Whether that is written messaging or visual messaging or verbal messaging in a video or in a podcast, if you do one, you can decide. Here's what I am finding in my latest studies on what consumers want. Once you do all of this work and you decide, consumers want you to be real. That's the number one. And I think you would agree with that. You don't want to be supporting a business that exploits something just to build their brand for the sake of building their business, but they don't really stand behind it. That's what I mean. That's authenticity, right? You want authenticity. Consumers want authenticity. That's number one. The next thing consumers want, I truly believe this, is if they want to buy from you, they don't want to hear a bunch of negative ranting. They don't want the negativity. The world is tired of it. Now, yes, every now and then you can throw a snarky comment out there. That doesn't mean you can't, but the ranting is going to repel them eventually. The only people you're going to attract with any type of negative ranting are people that want to rant with you, not necessarily people that want to buy your product. I hope that's making sense. So if you want to go out there and talk about something that you really are upset about, sure, do it. But what I would probably suggest is do that in maybe your social media stories that disappear in 24 hours. That's where you would add that flair of your brand and a core value so that it's not out there on your grid. Your grid meaning like your main wall of Facebook, your Facebook feed, or your Instagram grid, like your main page where people will go. Your main deal isn't the thing you're ranting about. It's this. I do this. I sell this thing. I do this service. But where you have a chance to really put your personal values and your brand values is in those stories that disappear in 24 hours. And you will lose some people. You will, but you will also attract people, but it won't turn into some long drawn out rant. I hope you're understanding what I'm talking about. We see this in politics all the time. And I know in the US, at least, people are tired of it. They're tired of rants. They don't want that. They want to hear, what can you do for me? That's the same exact thing in business. You're allowed to express your opinion, but really when it comes down to it, what service do you offer? How can you help me? How can you help me? How are you going to make my life better? And in politics, the people that just rant and rant and rant and don't go on with, this is what I'm going to do, this is how we're going to do it, those people that just rant don't get anywhere. But people that actually put policies out there, they will get traction because then people will say, okay, I agree with that and you can help me. You've got my vote. It is the same in business. And I say it in politics because we are in a campaign season right now in the United States and we're seeing it, right? The name calling, the mudslinging, all of that stuff. I really do feel that the American consumer, at least, is fatigued from it. And the American consumer is also where cancel culture is huge. I can't speak for other countries because I don't live there, but I know for sure here, you need to be careful with your brand messaging. Know your core values, wrap them into your messaging, verbal, written, and visual, and the people that align with them will come to you. Very few consumers are really paying attention to what you do in your personal life. Very few consumers care about what you do with your personal life, but there are some out there who do want to only support businesses that believe this. I would venture to say that's a small percentage. Most people want the cardiac surgeon who is going to save their life, who is going to fix whatever's going wrong in their heart. They don't care if that cardiac surgeon had 5 affairs on his wife. They want help. Does that make sense? It's the same thing in your business. At the same time, if that cardiac surgeon is out there on a platform speaking all day long about something that has nothing to do with heart health, it's some polarizing topic, it's going to make people go, oh, I just don't know if I trust him. There's some fine line that you have to figure out, and there is no direct answer. I can't tell you exactly how to craft your messaging because every single thing we put out there is a test. So go out there and test it. Get those values down, get your messaging out there and test it. And that's how you're going to know if culture is going to accept you or not. I hope this was helpful. I will talk to you next week, same time, same place. Bye for now. Don't forget to go to the show notes for the live makeup workshop. It's called Timeless Beauty. It is Wednesday, June 14th, 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, live, but there are replays. Tap the show note link and I will see you there. Until then, have a fierce, fit, feminine, and fabulous day.